there's a conversation happening in quiet corners of the internet, in therapy rooms men finally decided to walk into, in late-night thoughts men have but never speak aloud. It's about a certain kind of man. Not the loudest, not the most aggressive, not the one performing strength for an audience, but the man who moves through the world with a kind of calm authority that makes people uneasy. The man who doesn't bend under emotional pressure. The man who can care deeply about a woman and still walk away if respect disappears. Jordan Peterson would recognize this man immediately. He's talked about him for years, buried inside lectures about mythology, responsibility, and what it means to be dangerous but civilized. Peterson doesn't call him uncontrollable. He calls him integrated, competent. Someone who has voluntarily confronted the chaos within himself and emerged with something most modern men have lost: internal order. And here's the uncomfortable truth women feel but rarely articulate. This man terrifies them. Not because he's cruel, not because he's emotionally unavailable, but because his world doesn't collapse without female validation. His sense of self doesn't require constant reassurance. His peace doesn't depend on being needed. That independence, that psychological sovereignty, reads as danger to a woman who's been taught that love means control, that connection requires dependency, that intimacy is measured by how much a man bends. Peterson has said it plainly: if you think tough men are dangerous, wait until you see what weak men are capable of. But there's a corollary he explores less directly. If you think independent men are cold, wait until you understand what emotionally dependent men cost the women who love them. The man who refuses to be controlled isn't rejecting love, he's protecting its truth. Let me show you what Peterson has been trying to tell men for years. The advice that makes people uncomfortable. The framework that reveals why some men can't be manipulated, managed, or emotionally cornered. This isn't about dominance. It's about something far more unsettling: completeness. Peterson talks often about order and chaos, about the hero's journey of slaying the dragon and rescuing the treasure. But here's what men miss in that metaphor. The dragon isn't just external. The dragon is your own unintegrated darkness. Your rage, your jealousy, your destructive impulses, your capacity for violence. Most men run from that dragon. They suppress it, deny it, pretend it doesn't exist. They perform goodness to appear safe. They smile when they want to roar. They apologize when they've done nothing wrong. But the man Peterson describes doesn't run. He turns towards the dragon. He stares into his own capacity for destruction, and instead of being consumed by it, he integrates it. He acknowledges that yes, he could be cruel. Yes, he could dominate. Yes, he could retaliate. But he chooses restraint. Not from weakness, from mastery. That's the difference women feel but can't always name. It's not that this man is harmless. It's that he's dangerous but disciplined. He's not performing niceness because he's afraid of conflict. He's choosing kindness from a position of strength. And that conscious restraint, that awareness of his own power held in check, radiates a kind of masculine gravity that modern culture can't manufacture. You've seen this man. In the friend who stopped arguing back and just smiled when his girlfriend tried to provoke him. In the colleague who calmly set a boundary and didn't explain or defend it. In the brother who stopped chasing the woman who kept him on emotional standby and suddenly became the one she couldn't stop thinking about. He didn't change tactics. He changed internally. He integrated his shadow, made peace with his capacity for detachment. And that integration gave him something most men never develop: the ability to love without need. Peterson frames this through the lens of competence. He asks, are you a monster who chooses to be good? Or someone who's good because they're too weak to be anything else? That question cuts to the bone, because a woman's instincts know the answer. She can sense whether a man's gentleness comes from fear or from power. And the man whose gentleness comes from power, whose calm is backed by the capacity for chaos he's chosen not to unleash, triggers something ancient in the feminine psyche. Respect mixed with wariness. Attraction mixed with the unsettling realization that she can't steer him with emotions. Here's what really happens when a woman encounters this kind of man. At first it fascinates her. She's drawn to his composure, his self-possession, his refusal to react to her emotional weather. She'll test him not out of malice but out of instinct. She needs to know if his calm is real or just a mask. She'll withdraw affection to see if he chases. She'll create drama to see if he engages. She'll question his feelings to see if he scrambles to reassure her. And when he doesn't, when he remains steady, when he can acknowledge her emotions without being swept away by them, something shifts. The fascination begins to curdle into discomfort, because she realizes she can't predict him. She can't manipulate his emotions. She can't make him orbit her moods. His world doesn't revolve around keeping her happy, and that independence feels like rejection even when it isn't. Peterson would say she's confronting her own chaos. Women, he explains, are more agreeable on average, more oriented towards social harmony, more likely to bend themselves to maintain relationships. So when a woman meets a man who won't bend, who maintains his own order even when she's offering chaos, it exposes her own lack of internal structure. His boundaries highlight her boundarylessness. His clarity confronts her confusion. His self-respect reveals how much of her self-worth depends on external validation. That's not cruelty. That's a mirror. And mirrors don't lie. You remember the moment you realized this. Maybe it was after a breakup where you finally stopped begging, stopped explaining, stopped trying to make her understand. You just accepted it and moved on. And suddenly, inexplicably, she came back. Not because you played a game, but because your energy recalibrated from needy to self-contained. And self-contained men activate a different part of the female psyche. The part that doesn't want to control. The part that wants to surrender to competence. Peterson says it plainly. You have to be a monster, but a disciplined monster. That discipline is what women respond to, not the aggression, the restraint, not the dominance, the self-governance. A man who has confronted his own darkness and emerged with the ability to choose his responses rather than be ruled by his reactions. That man is psychologically sovereign, and sovereignty in a man forces a woman to confront whether she's bringing chaos or order to his life. But there's another layer here, one Peterson explores through the lens of meaning and responsibility. He talks constantly about how men need a mission, a purpose, something larger than themselves to serve. And here's where the real transformation happens. When a man finds that mission, when he commits to something beyond romantic validation. His entire psychological framework shifts. He's no longer measuring his worth by whether a woman chooses him. He's measuring it by whether he's becoming the man his mission requires. The gym isn't about impressing women. It's about discipline. The business isn't about providing for a future wife. It's about building something meaningful. The solitude isn't about avoiding relationships. It's about protecting the internal order he's worked so hard to create. And that's when women start to seem optional, not unwanted, not rejected, but no longer central to his identity. He can appreciate a woman's presence without needing it. He can enjoy intimacy without requiring it to feel complete. His happiness isn't conditional on female approval, and that non-dependence is the most magnetic thing a man can possess. Peterson warns men constantly, don't sacrifice who you could be for who you are. But the corollary is equally true. Don't sacrifice who you could be for who she wants you to be. The moment you start editing yourself, shrinking your ambitions, apologizing for your drive, censoring your opinions to keep peace, you've entered a contract where you trade your potential for her comfort, and that trade will destroy you both. You'll resent her for the sacrifice. She'll lose respect for you because of it. A man who refuses to be controlled understands this instinctively. He knows that maintaining his own direction, even when it creates friction, is more loving than abandoning himself to avoid conflict. Because a man who loses himself in a relationship becomes a man no woman can respect. And a woman who can't respect her man will eventually leave him. Or worse, stay and quietly destroy him through 1,000 small emasculations. You've watched this happen. The friend who gave up his friends, his hobbies, his goals because his girlfriend needed constant attention. At first, she seemed happy. She had his complete focus. But over time, something changed. She became critical, dismissive, irritated by the very devotion she demanded, not because she's evil, but because she's human. And humans, especially women, are attracted to competence, purpose, direction. When a man abandons those things, even for her, he becomes less attractive, not more. Peterson's framework explains why. Women are hypergamous by nature. They're attracted to men who are moving upward, who are competent, who have their lives in order. A man who sacrifices his growth to manage her emotions is a man who has stopped climbing, and a man who stops climbing becomes a man she can't look up to. The moment she looks down at you is the moment the relationship enters its death spiral. Here's the darkest truth Peterson dances around but never quite says directly. Some women don't want you to be strong. They want you to be manageable. They want the performance of strength, the aesthetics of masculinity, but the substance of submission. They want a man who looks like he could protect them, but who will always bend to their emotional reality. A man who earns well, but whose money is really hers to direct. A man who appears confident, but whose confidence collapses the moment she withdraws affection. That's not partnership. That's ownership. And the man who refuses to be controlled can smell it from a mile away. Peterson talks about how resentment is the canary in the coal mine of a bad relationship. If you're constantly doing things you don't want to do, constantly suppressing your own needs, constantly walking on eggshells, constantly managing someone else's emotions at the expense of your own peace, you will become resentful. And resentment is poison. It seeps into everything. It turns love into obligation, intimacy into performance, communication into warfare. The integrated man doesn't allow resentment to build. He addresses problems when they're small. He says no without guilt. He maintains boundaries without explanation. He doesn't weaponize his strength, but he doesn't hide it either. And that authenticity creates a relationship dynamic that most modern couples never experience. Mutual respect, not power struggle, not manipulation, not emotional hostage-taking, but two sovereign individuals choosing each other daily, not because they need each other to survive, but because they genuinely enhance each other's lives. Peterson calls this a voluntary confrontation with responsibility. You choose the relationship not because you're afraid to be alone, but because this specific person, with all their flaws and complexities, makes your burden worth carrying. But here's the catch. You can only choose that way if you're genuinely okay without it, if you're complete on your own, if your identity isn't dependent on being in a relationship. And that completeness, that self-sufficiency, is exactly what makes some women uncomfortable, because it means they can't use your loneliness as leverage. They can't threaten withdrawal and watch you panic. They can't create emotional chaos and expect you to abandon your peace to fix theirs. What men learn too late is this. The woman who is disturbed by your independence is precisely the woman you should never surrender it for, because her discomfort isn't about love, it's about control. She doesn't want you to be stronger, she wants you to be weaker, weak enough that she remains the center of your world, weak enough that you'll sacrifice your judgment to accommodate hers, weak enough that losing her feels like losing yourself. Peterson warns men about this through the story of the devouring mother archetype, the feminine force that doesn't want you to grow, that keeps you dependent, that punishes your independence and rewards your weakness. It shows up in romantic relationships as the woman who criticizes your ambitions, who makes you feel guilty for having boundaries, who frames your self-respect as selfishness, who equates your peace with abandonment. And the tragic part, most men don't recognize it until they've already lost themselves. They wake up one day and realize they don't recognize the man in the mirror. They've become agreeable, passive, constantly apologetic, forever walking on eggshells. They've traded their dangerous, competent, purposeful masculinity for the illusion of relational peace. And the woman they did it for? She's not happier. She's more critical, more distant, more contemptuous. Because you can't negotiate desire. You can't earn attraction through submission. You either maintain yourself or you lose her respect. There is no third option. Peterson frames this through evolutionary psychology. Women want men who can navigate hierarchies, who can compete and win, who can provide and protect. But they also want men who will be emotionally available, who will prioritize the relationship, who will be present and engaged. Those two desires exist in tension, and the only way to balance them is to refuse the false choice. You don't choose between strength and sensitivity. You embody both. You don't choose between ambition and relationship. You integrate them. You don't choose between maintaining boundaries and showing love. You understand that boundaries are love. That saying no to what diminishes you is saying yes to what could genuinely flourish between you. There's a moment in every awakened man's journey where everything inverts, where the traits that once made him feel broken, selfish, emotionally unavailable, suddenly become his greatest strengths. His need for solitude isn't antisocial, it's self-preserving. His emotional restraint isn't coldness, it's discipline. His refusal to chase isn't fear of intimacy, it's respect for his own value. Peterson calls this the process of sorting yourself out. And what that really means is confronting every lie you've been told about what makes a good man. You've been told that good men are selfless, that they put everyone else first, that they sacrifice their dreams for their families, that they endure disrespect in the name of love, that they swallow their pride to keep the peace. And maybe some of that is true in specific contexts, in moments of genuine crisis, in relationships built on mutual respect. But as a default operating system, it's suicide. It turns you into a servant in your own life. It trains the people you love to see you as a resource, not a person. It teaches women that your boundaries are negotiable and your needs are optional. The man who refuses to be controlled has rejected that programming. He's not performing masculinity for applause. He's living it for himself. He works out because discipline matters to him. He builds businesses because creation fulfills him. He maintains friendships because loyalty means something. He chooses solitude because peace is survival, not selfishness. And when a woman enters that life, she's entering his frame, not the other way around. She's adding to something already whole, not filling a void. She's enhancing his mission, not becoming it. And if she can't respect that, if she needs to be the center of his universe to feel loved, then she's not compatible with the man he's become. Peterson says something men need tattooed on their souls. You're not everything you could be, and you know it. That knowledge, that gap between who you are and who you could become, that's what should drive you, not the approval of women, not the avoidance of loneliness, not the social pressure to settle down, but the burning, undeniable sense that you have potential you haven't touched yet. And every day you spend dimming yourself to accommodate someone else's insecurity is a day you betray that potential. Peterson has spent years warning men about the dangers of becoming so agreeable that you lose your spine, of becoming so accommodating that you lose your identity, of becoming so focused on maintaining a relationship that you forget to maintain yourself. That's the trap women unintentionally set for men who love them. Women are more neurotic on average, Peterson explains. They experience more negative emotion. They worry more, catastrophize more, feel anxiety more intensely. And when a woman is in distress, a man's natural instinct is to fix it, to comfort her, to do whatever it takes to restore her peace. But here's the problem. If her distress becomes chronic, if her anxiety is endless, if her emotional volatility is constant, then a man who's trying to fix it will sacrifice himself in the attempt. He'll abandon his goals to manage her moods. He'll edit his opinions to avoid triggering her. He'll shrink his world to fit inside her comfort zone. And slowly, imperceptibly, he'll disappear into her emotional reality until there's nothing left of him but the role of emotional caretaker. The man who refuses to be controlled recognizes this pattern before it consumes him. He understands that he can empathize with her distress without taking responsibility for it. He can offer support without abandoning his own stability. He can love her and still refuse to drown in her chaos. That's not abandonment. That's survival. And here's what happens when a man maintains that boundary. She either rises to meet him or she doesn't. If she's psychologically healthy, if she's capable of growth, if she genuinely wants partnership and not just emotional management, she'll start stabilizing herself. She'll respect his boundaries because she sees they're making both of them better. But if she's not healthy, if she's addicted to chaos, If she needs him destabilized to feel in control, she'll escalate. She'll test harder, she'll create bigger crises. She'll frame his stability as emotional unavailability. She'll punish his boundaries by threatening to leave, by withdrawing affection, by making him feel like his self-preservation is proof he doesn't love her. And that's the moment of truth. Do you bend to keep her? Or do you stand firm and risk losing her? Peterson's answer is clear. You stand firm. Because if maintaining your sanity costs you the relationship, then the relationship was already destroying you. There's a reason Peterson's message resonates so deeply with men, not because he's telling them to be selfish or cruel or emotionally unavailable, but because he's giving them permission to stop apologizing for their own existence, to stop feeling guilty for having needs, boundaries, ambitions, and standards, to stop performing weakness to make others comfortable. He's saying, be dangerous, be capable, be competent, be someone who could inflict damage but chooses not to. Be the dragon slayer who's integrated his shadow, who knows his own capacity for chaos and has disciplined it into something powerful. That's not toxic masculinity. That's integrated masculinity, the kind that doesn't need to dominate anyone because it's already conquered the only opponent that matters, yourself. And when you become that man, when you stop seeking validation and start embodying value, when you stop chasing women and start building a life worth being chosen for, everything shifts. The women who would have controlled you lose interest because there's nothing for them to manipulate. The women who would have drained you can't get close because your boundaries are impenetrable. And the woman who can actually match you, who brings order instead of chaos, who respects your mission instead of resenting it, who adds to your life instead of consuming it, she'll recognize you immediately. Not because you're perfect, but because you're integrated, because you're whole, because you've done the work most men avoid, confronting your own darkness, claiming your own sovereignty, and building a life that doesn't collapse when a woman says no. Peterson calls this standing up straight with your shoulders back, but it's deeper than posture. It's psychological alignment. It's living in accordance with your values even when it costs you relationships. It's refusing to sacrifice your potential for temporary comfort. It's understanding that the respect you lose by bending never comes back, no matter how much you love her. So here's what this teaches you. The woman who needs to control you is revealing something about herself, not about you. She's showing you that her sense of safety depends on your smallness. Her sense of worth depends on your dependency. Her sense of power depends on your willingness to abandon yourself. And you can love her. You can empathize with whatever wound created that need, but you cannot cure it by surrendering to it. You cannot heal her by breaking yourself. You cannot love someone into wholeness who's determined to keep you fragmented. Peterson says it clearly. You must determine where you are going in your life, because you cannot get there unless you move in that direction. And if the woman in your life is pulling you away from that direction, if she's demanding you choose her over your own growth, if she's framing your self-respect as selfishness, then she's not your partner. She's your obstacle. The hardest truth men face is this. Sometimes the woman you love is the wrong woman for the man you're becoming. Sometimes the relationship that felt like home was actually a cage you mistook for comfort. Sometimes walking away from someone you care about is the most loving thing you can do, both for her and for yourself. Because staying in a dynamic where you must diminish yourself to be accepted isn't love. It's slow erasure. And the man who refuses to be controlled would rather face the pain of leaving than endure the death of staying. That's not coldness. That's clarity. That's not emotional unavailability. That's emotional sovereignty. That's not fear of intimacy. That's refusal to confuse intimacy with imprisonment. You were never meant to be someone's emotional support animal, constantly performing calm to soothe someone else's anxiety. You were never meant to edit your opinions, suppress your drive, or apologize for your existence. You were meant to slay your dragons, rescue your treasure, and build something meaningful with the years you're given. And if she can walk beside you in that journey without needing to steer it, if she can respect your mission without resenting it, if she can love you without requiring you to be less than you are, then you've found something rare. Partnership between two sovereign individuals, not dependency dressed as devotion. But if she can't, if she needs you controllable to feel loved, if she punishes your strength and rewards your weakness, if she makes you choose between her comfort and your growth, then the answer is simple. Choose yourself every single time, without guilt, without apology, without looking back. Because the man who refuses to be controlled understands what Peterson has been teaching all along. You cannot negotiate desire, you cannot earn respect through submission, and you cannot build a meaningful life by sacrificing yourself to avoid someone else's discomfort. Your boundaries aren't cruelty, they're integrity. Your independence isn't abandonment, it's wholeness. Your refusal to be controlled isn't fear of love, it's protection of its truth. And the woman who can't see that isn't the woman meant to walk beside you into the life you're building. She's the chaos you learned to leave behind, the moment you finally understood your worth.